A while back, I was out shopping for tennis shoes, and I couldn't believe how much more Nikes cost than the rest of them. Now, it's well known that Nikes pay a lot of money to athletes to endorse their products. This got me thinking that the Nikes were just priced higher to pay for the advertising. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, is how companies get you to pay for their advertising. I will combine my accounting knowledge with some research to help you become more informed shoppers. To do that, I will talk about how much is being spent on ads and the price that you pay for those brand names. To start with, companies spend billions of dollars on advertising to get consumers to buy the name brand products. According to eMarketer, worldwide, in 2015, advertising spending was $600 billion. And at the top of their list for spending countries was the United States, of course, at $190 billion. To put that into some perspective, the state of Minnesota's budget for 2016-2017 biennium is just under $42 billion. So it could pay for our state budget for over 8 years. Now, every year, Advertising Age puts out a list of the top 200 advertisers. According to this list, the biggest 3 spenders are General Motors at $3.5 billion, AT&T at $3.9 billion, and topping this list was Procter & Gamble. Now, Procter & Gamble isn't a brand name, but they sell a lot of brand names, and they include Tide, Crest toothpaste, Pampers, Gillette razors, Bounty paper towels, and that's just to name a few. They spent $4.2 billion last year on advertising. So now that you have an idea about how much companies spend on advertising, I want to move on to the price you pay for their products. Laura Heller, contributing writer for Forbes magazine, states, name brand consumers pay for Super Bowl ads in the form of higher per item prices. Now, one of the tricks that cost accountants use to figure out how much to sell something for is to take all the expenses and add a markup for the profit they want to make, and that becomes their selling price. So you can see that advertising is an expense, and it is in the price of the products that you buy. And one of the ways to figure out how much a company's advertising is costing you is to use an advertising to sales ratio. Now, how this works is that you just take the advertising expense for a year and divide it by the sales. This is going to give you the percent of advertising that's in the price of the product. So if you have 10% ratio, then $10 out of every 100 that you spend goes to advertising. So now I'm going to show you the ratios for 2 of the companies that I talked about earlier, GM and Procter & Gamble. To do this, I had to get their sales totals for 2015. And I was able to get these figures from Edgar. And what Edgar is, it's a website maintained by the Security Exchange Commission, and it lists the financial statements for over 21,000 corporations. The first is GM's ratio. General Motors ratio is actually pretty small at 2.4%. So if you were to go out and buy a new Chevy Impala, it would cost you $655 in advertising. The next company, Procter & Gamble's ratio is 6.6%. That means if you go out and spend $100 on their products, you're going to pay $6.60 on advertising. Now, by industry, some of the highest ratios are for toys, cosmetics, insurance, and tennis shoes. So yes, Nike is making you pay a higher price for their advertising. In conclusion, the money being spent on advertising is a sign that companies know that it works. They spend billions and pass the costs onto consumers in the form of higher prices. I hope that now you are all more informed shoppers. Any questions? Yeah?
Did this idea of speech come to you when you were looking at shoes?
No, this is probably 20 years ago that I was that it came to my mind that this is what happened. But since I've taken all these accounting classes, I've learned that's how you figure it out. And I just thought it'd be a really informative speech for everyone. People probably didn't know or realize it.
Now I'm even angrier about what I'm saying, but I know what I'm angry about.
Well, at least I don't like Nikes.
It's important to understand when you're a consumer.